Welcome back to Unlock the Mind with Lester. This is episode 4. Today's episode, we're talking about rewiring the neurodivergent mind, hypnosis for ADHD and autism. So, if you or someone you know or love is navigating life with ADHD, autism, or simply feeling mentally scattered or overstimulated, today's episode is going to hit home. We're going to dive deep into how hypnotherapy can support neurodivergent minds. I'll walk you through the science, some real world examples, and give you a powerful self regulation tool you can start using today. Now, me as a father of children with on the autism spectrum, I've seen firsthand how breath work, a clean nutrition, and even some hypnosis can support real shifts. It's not overnight, they're not miracles. Um, as I explained before, the subconscious mind for everyone works differently. So when you're doing hypnosis, changes can either happen that very same day, maybe in a couple days, maybe a week, or maybe in a couple weeks, because you do need to listen to that audio um, either in the daytime or nighttime, preferably 30 minutes prior to waking up or 30 minutes before going to bed. That is when you want to start doing your self hypnosis, because that is when you are most suggestible, because you're already getting into that. Well, if it's at night, you're getting yourself ready to go into that deep hypnotic state, or if it's in the morning, you're you're still not fully awake until like maybe an hour after you've woken up. So this is why a lot of people say don't wake up and go watch the news. Don't wake up and go uh, look at your social media, look at your emails, your text messages, phone. Like just put the phone down for a moment and either read a book, something that's self empowering, do some journaling, do something that's going to benefit you, not just for that moment, but for the entire day. All right, so let's get into this episode and let's dive in a little bit deeper here. So first things first, I want to get something very clear. ADHD and autism are not flaws by no means necessary. They're just different operating systems, and what hypnotherapy and hypnosis does is help align those systems to function more fluidly. So just like I've spoken before, I use a lot of IT language because I did IT for 12 years as a system administrator, senior system administrator. And I like to compare the brain, I guess, to, let's think of it as different operating systems. You got Apple, you got Windows, you got Linux, right? So think of the brain as we all have our different operating systems. It just means that we have different functionalities, different way of installation, root access, if you will, right? Having that administrative access to the subconscious mind. That is what having a different operating system means. That it doesn't mean that one person can't learn something or it's going to be impossible. It just might take a little longer, or you have to go a different route. And I feel like people with ADHD or with autism, they have more of a Linux type of brain, right? Because it is so intuitive and so like it's amazing. It really is. Um, there is the unfortunate things though that people with ADHD experience. A few of these things are racing thoughts, so it's very hard for them to focus, have that trouble focusing because your thoughts are just going 100 miles an hour. So think of your brain, and there's a connection just going like this nonstop, and that's exactly what's happening. So that's why for some people with ADHD, it's hard for them to focus. There's also emotional impulsivity. So I've seen this myself that you know with my children, they're very impulsive if something is not done at that very moment. There's also sleep issues because since your brain is think about it, if your brain is running the entire day, most likely at night it's doing the same thing, and not everyone that has ADHD has all these symptoms or goes through all these things, but for the most part, you know, it is very common for this to happen. Um, for those people with that are on the autism spectrum, they deal with a, a little bit similar things, but they have that sensory overload. So I've noticed it with my children. They need to have like those little poppers or little something to scratch on, or we've also made these these little plates that have like doorknobs and locks and number pads and different things to help them with sensory overload. But at the same time, that is a little bit of physical therapy or occupational therapy, because you're working on the fingers, and the strength of the fingers is something that a lot of kids they gotta get work on. Like, I remember my son, my youngest son, he has autism, and he he was very sensory overloaded. So he did not like the texture of certain things. I remember when we first went outside to do grounding work. We all went out as a family. We walked outside. We did some grounding work, and he did not like the grass. So I slowly worked him way on his, worked him to it. Now he enjoys grounding or being on the grass or not wearing shoes. It's just something that he had to get accustomed to. Um, Kids with, or not just kids, people with autism also suffer from social anxiety, because their brains are just working in a different way. They're very cautious to what's going around. Um, Maybe they don't like crowded places. There's just so much going on in their mind that they build that social anxiety, and that's what hypnotherapy can help with. There's also communication challenges. We've seen this before, where there's a lot of people with autism that are nonverbal, but through music therapy, through speech therapy, through just working that mind and keep working on that communication, you can build off of that. But they do suffer from communication challenges. There are also repetitive thoughts and loops or rumination that happens through their mind. So that is why they keep doing that same pattern daily, because we keep going through that repetitive loop of waking up and going to brush our teeth. And it's kind of, I don't even think you have to have autism for this, because that's more on discipline. That's what you do every day, right? Like, you wake up, you go brush your teeth, wash your face or shower, whatever it is you do this on the daily. But a person with autism just does it to another level. Like, they cannot miss one of their checkpoints, because it'll maybe throw them off a little bit in that day. Um, and I understand that this might not be everyone's truth, because again, we all go through our own challenges and our own situations. But let's understand one thing clear, and that is that the subconscious mind is running the patterns on our daily lives, and that's for everyone. So when we're talking about ADHD and autism and what hypnotherapy can do, we just gently introduce these new neural pathways that are helping the brain shift from chaos to clarity. So that's what the brain is doing. The brain has, like I was saying before, it has that line, right? That it's just going straight, and that is that neural pathway. It just keeps going every single day. Now with hypnosis, we create that other pathway. So now it's not just going straight and back, it's going left, it's going right. So you're building on it, and that is what helps the brain make that shift. And excuse me for a second, let me get a drink. All right. So, what does the research say? According to the National Institute of Health, hypnosis has been used to reduce chronic anxiety, pain, and behavior based challenges in neurodivergent individuals. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I said this in episode 1. But there was a study published in the International Journal of Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis that showed that over 84% of participants reported decreased anxiety after hypnotherapy, outperforming traditional cognitive therapy or talk therapy. And again, that is no knock on cognitive therapy or talk therapy, because I have friends that are therapists, and I know how good they are, the tools they give people, um, the help that they give individuals. But an 84% of success, or of decreased anxiety, that is a very huge no, that's a very high number. And the reason for that is because as a hypnotherapist, you're working with a subconscious mind. So if you were to actually work with a therapist together, and you guys share notes and really get down to the what changes does this individual need so that they can live a better, happier, independent, and more fruitful life. Because that should be the goal of all therapists, right? That we're here to help people excel, elevate, level up, right? Um, some additional cases that I looked upon were ADHD kids that were ages 10 to 15. There was a pilot study involving teens that um, they had a 6 session hypnotherapy program, signi- significantly improved focus and reduced classroom anxiety. And I can tell you from myself and experience, I've done this with my daughter. She does have um, not ADHD, but she has ADD, which is very similar. Um, and she also does have epilepsy. But my daughter, she had that classroom anxiety, or in general, like she gets embarrassed in class very easily. She's very quiet to herself. But I've given her this breathwork technique. I've done hypnosis with her. I've done things that have helped her now develop into this. She's just so amazing. Like this today, we were talking. She tells me how she's friends with everybody in her class. She got in trouble for the first time ever, um, and that was because she was playing with a plush doll, and it wasn't even nothing bad. But she at least realized what she did wrong. She then was embarrassed because the class was looking at her, so she used that breath work to calm her body down, and then she was fine. And she told me this, and I was like, "Oh man, it's great." Like, I love when I'm driving and I hear my kids in the background, and maybe something is triggering them, or they feel like um, something is just not right. And I'm driving, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then I start hearing them do their breath work, and I'm just like, "Wow, like this is so cool, man!" Like, I'm giving my kids tools so that they can like really flourish in life. Like I can't wait to see how my kids use all the tools I'm giving them so that they can just live a more peaceful life. Because I think in today's world, we everything is fast, everything is right now, everyone's in a rush, right? And no one takes that time to just pause things, slow them down, and then continue. In another study I found, um, on the autism spectrum, this is for nonverbal adults. Hypnotherapy paired with somatic anchoring helped reduce stress reaction by over 40% with 8 sessions. So, again, going back to these studies, you're hearing it 6 sessions, 8 sessions. These are multiple sessions that we need to do. A lot of people sit here and think, I'm going to do hypnosis and do it this one time, and I feel great. I don't need it anymore, because it does happen. It happens so much. I can't tell you how many clients I've had that with one session, I help them overcome whatever it is that they're overcoming. But that's just the groundwork. That's just me giving you that positive suggestibility. Now, as we go deeper into it, we start finding out the root cause of why did this happen? How can we make this real change? Let's let's really reprogram the mind, right? Because you were able to do it once, but you want to really reinforce it so that going forward, it just creates this whole new person that you'll be blown away. Excuse me. And in another study, children with sensory processing disorder, a 2022 case. So this is relatively recent. It showed improvement in sensory tolerance, emotional regulation, and sleep in kids after 4 to 6 hypnotherapy sessions using metaphor based language and guided visualization. This is so key and so true because my daughter, she has a very hard time going to sleep. Um, I have played on YouTube, there's other um, hypnotherapists that have created hypnotherapy for children um, videos where you can just play that for your child and you'll see how they go to sleep easily. But I also, I do my own hypnosis on them because I know their suggestibility type. I know how to speak to their brain, and I go into that deeper, deep state. And now she's getting her 7, 8 hours of sleep every night. Before she would wake up middle of the night, come to my bed, maybe not even get any sleep at all. And there's days that she still has that. Like there's days that she might not get any sleep at all, and the next day I tell her, I'm like, hey, look, you didn't get any sleep, so it's gonna be a groggy day for you. And you know, I'm just so big on sleep. Sleep to me is extremely important. Um, I haven't been able to make any podcasts in the past couple of weeks because I've been just so slammed with work. Um, I'm not just a hypnotherapist. I do have other businesses because I am an entrepreneur and have my own businesses. So there's a lot that I do, but yeah, I haven't had the amount of sleep that I've liked to, but I will, and I starts today. um, Another study is adults with late diagnosed ADHD. This is a big one. It reported that there was an increased task completion, lowered impulsivity, and more restful sleep when combining self hypnosis with mind scheduling practices. Just as I was speaking on earlier, sleep um, being extremely important, you know, increasing that task completion for um, adults with ADHD because I've seen it myself that I'm like, wow, like I know that if adults that just found out that they have ADHD, they start working with a hypnotherapist, you're gonna start seeing some great changes. And to be honest, it'll work a lot, but much better with kids, for the reason being, back to episode 1, I explained how from ages 0 to 8 we are the most suggestible, and the brain really doesn't stop growing until the age of 25. So that's when you have a mature brain. Um, Anytime from 0, I would say, all the way up to 25, I highly recommend to do some hypnotherapy because it's only going to be more efficient and you're going to see results a lot quicker because as an adult, that is when you're going to have to really start diving into so many more things. And by no means necessary are these cures that, like, oh, you do hypnotherapy and it's gone. It's magic. It's like, no, it's not. These are just tools that are helping individuals create the changes from within that's already in them. They just need to unlock it. And these are just access points to healing. These tools are here to help unlock this new mental clarity. Let me just get another drink here. And if you're wondering what I'm drinking, I am a nutritionist as well. So I make my own shakes um, for different purposes. Better blood flow, better skin health, better just overall. Like the one I'm drinking right now is for men, but I do make. I'm coming out with a recipe book real soon because it's going to be to help women out as well with you know women needs. Like I know a very big one is PCOS, and a lot of blood blood flow happens to women during that time of the month. So I want to help out with that skin flow. I mean skin health. I'm sorry, glow, um, and just so much more. I'll have more information on that in the coming weeks. So moving on with our show here. We have to stop thinking of neurodivergence as a disorder that needs fixing because it's not about fixing a person with neurodivergence. There's just a different process, right? Their brain, like I said earlier, they just process things differently. It's just an application of certain cognitive functions. And here's the truth: most of the world isn't designed for neurodivergent minds. Unfortunately, I think today we are getting closer to that. We are working our way to it, which is great. But what if we taught those minds to design their own internal system? And hypnosis can create that portal. It's gentle, it's safe, and when guided properly by someone that's been um, trained in the right manner, clinically hypnosis or a clinical hypnotherapist, if you will, they can bring that calmness, that clarity, that deeper self trust. And I've read about it, I've seen it, I've gone to workshops for it. Um, it's incredible. It really is. I know one of my favorite mentors. She once said, I believe it's when East meets West is the best, or something along those lines. And what she means by that is that when you combine the medicine that we take in America and also bring in all the energy work, all the somatic and all the other stuff that comes from China, India, that side of the world. I guess that's the eastern side of the world, if you will, right? Um, when you combine both medicines, it's just incredible because it's not like, all right, so it's hard for me to say because I grew up with the mentality that I had allergies, right? I did a lot of self hypnosis. I did a lot of work on myself. I do not have allergies. I don't suffer from allergies. I don't I don't see myself having allergies to anything. And don't get me wrong. There are days where I wake up where I have a stuffy nose, I have sinus issues, and today was one of those days. I've been sneezing here and there. I've just seen my podcast. I'm a little like, like, oh man, my nose. But it's okay. I know that this is just for today. Um, when I go to sleep in my self hypnosis, that's something that I will tell myself. I will wake up tomorrow feeling a whole lot better than today. I will be breathing very clear, where I will have no mucus running down my nose. I will wake up feeling with great lungs. My airwaves are going to be working amazingly, so much better than yesterday. And guess what happens the next day? I wake up feeling great. And if I don't, well, I'll take a little bit of medicine. I'll take an allergy pill, but I don't need to take one every day. At least that's for me, right? I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you guys what to do, what not to do. But I'm just saying, I read the labels. I'm a very big label reader. And when I read some of the side effects, and I also do a lot of research on what I'm taking. So I look at the long term effect, and I'm like, wow, like, is that something I really want to do? Like, I've done that with other medications, and I knew what I was getting into, and I didn't like the results. So I've moved on to a more holistic way of doing things, which is what my shakes also bring to the table because I use different herbs, different spices, um, just different things that are going to help me, excuse me, um, be a lot healthier and without having to lean on medication so much. Again, don't get me wrong. If you have asthma and you need your inhaler, use it. I have inhalers. I use them from time to time, but there's also techniques you can use for opening up your chest. There's tools that you can have your hands closed, and then when you breathe, you open your hands. opening up that chest. You inhale, and you're opening up all the lungs, all that diaphragm right there, and then you close your hands. And I can do that. I'll do that breath work when I do the episode for hypnotherapy and asthma to give you guys a little bit more what I do, because again, as a child, I was told I had asthma. Yet I ran track and field. My middle school, high school, college, played football, weight training, this and that, and I've never really had asthma. And I guess moving to Texas now with the cedar in the air, I believe in that. I believe that if there's something in the air that's going to trigger you, it's going to trigger you. But it doesn't mean that that defines you and that now you need to take that medication for the rest of your life. I don't think that's true. I think that you can gradually get away from it and use it as needed, because that's what medication should be. It should be used as needed. You shouldn't have your life dependent on it. You should depend on eating foods, because that's the best medicine. Eat foods that are going to give you that nutrition, right? All right, so now let's try something different for today when it comes to the technique I'm going to give you guys. This is what I call a peripheral focus reset. So it helps quiet mental chatter and widen your sensory awareness. So let's dive right into this technique. All right, I want you to sit comfortably, and I want you to pick a point on the wall in front of you, preferably a little bit above eye level, and keep your eyes on that point. Stare at it with intention, stare at it very accurately, focused, laser-like focused, right? But now I want you to expand your awareness to your left and to your right, to the edges of your vision. If you need to, hold your fingers up like this, expand them out, and keep looking at your fingers until you see them in your peripheral, okay? And you can do this, even if you're in class, no matter where you are. Just go ahead and do this, except if you're driving. If you're driving, do not do this. If any machinery, just like I always say, if you're driving a vehicle or on any machinery, do not do these things. Do them when you are sitting down and if you are feeling that you need that mental clarity. So again, find that spot, stare at it, use that peripheral vision. Very good. Now I want you to inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 2 seconds. And now exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds. Good. Keeping your eyes nice and soft. And breathe like this for 3 more rounds. So let's inhale through our nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 2. Now exhale for 4 seconds through your mouth. One more time. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 2. And now release for 4 through your mouth. Like a straw. Nice and calm. And if you notice any mental shifts, that's exactly what this exercise does. It helps bring that scattered thought into a unified calmness. And practicing this anytime, you feel overstimulated or disconnected. And like I said, you could do this anywhere. So if you're somewhere where you are feeling, overwhelmed, overstimulated, you just need to have that mind-body connection and ground yourself. Use that technique. Find that spot, stare at it, stay focused with it, and then find that peripheral vision, or use your fingers and see the edges of your fingers, and then use that 4-second inhaling through your nose, hold it for 2 seconds, and then exhale through your mouth for 4 seconds. Do that 3 times. All right? And as I said earlier, hypnotherapy is not magic. I mean, I guess it can be if you go to a hypnosis show and you see how great it is. But again, I've explained that in the past. I'll explain it again. That the reason that works so good is because while the hypnotist is telling people, if you imagine or visualize a lemon in your hand and you were to take a giant bite at it, do you feel the the sourness and the wateriness is going down your throat. Maybe even give you a sense of wanting to swallow. And then you just look at the people that are just like, I could really feel it. Those are the people that you want on stage because they're highly suggestible. And hypnotists know this. But again, it's not magic. It could be fun. But it is deeply transformative when it's used with intention. So make sure that you are working with a hypnotherapist that has great intention. That you know, when you do a discovery call, not only is that therapist interviewing you to see if you guys align, you should be interviewing them because you want to work with someone that you're going to feel comfortable with, that you're going to feel that transformation change, and that you just know that that therapist is someone you really want to work with. All right, everyone. So coming to a close on this show, if this episode resonated with you, please share with someone who might benefit. Like and subscribe, as always. If you're interested in booking a session with me or are interested in taking a suggestibility quiz that I'm creating on my website, go to www.lestertorres.com/book, and you can book a free discovery call, or you can book a first session at the events that I will be at the Mental Health Expo in Cedar Park, and at the Your Path to Peace to Peasy Park in Austin for the Wellness Festival on June 1st. I am going to have codes for that day for people that are there. So if you're in the Austin area, and May 30th at 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., you're in the Cedar Park area, come on down. We can talk about what hypnosis can help you with. I'll give you a couple of tools, maybe even hypnotize you in person right there in front of everyone, just to give you a little a feeling of what it's like. At the same thing at the Wellness Festival. Come on by. I have a special promotion going on for you guys. I have a special rate, so come on down if you can, and let's talk about how we can reprogram that mind. And before we go, I do want to share something very personal, very important that I really want to share. My first book, Recode Your Mind from IT Admin to Mindset Mastery, is now live on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other platforms. I'm also trying to get it on like library checkouts, so I'll be sharing that as well. It's a 79-page guide to help you reprogram your subconscious and build the mind-body connection that leads to real lasting changes. This is not per se a long story book because I wanted to create something that was a bit personal, but also gives a lot of tools to people so that they can help out themselves. What is NLP? How can I use it? How can what is self-hypnosis? How can I use that? I'll create an episode on that as well in the future on all these things. But my book has a lot of very cool, simple techniques. Like I said, real stories of my own personal stories. It has daily practices you can start using immediately. Even though it's called, a book on IT, from IT admin to mindset mastery, it's only named like that is because of my background, my senior system administrator background. So it is not a book just for IT people. Please don't think that. I do make a few references of IT, but this is really a book for anyone who wants to learn how their brain works and how to shift it with intention. All right, so check it out on Amazon. Either search Recode Your Mind, or you can even search up Lester Torres. It was incredible. I was like, wow, I searched up my name, and there I was. All right, well, thank you guys for your time. Much love. Let's keep unlocking, and I'll see y'all next time.